Okay guys, so I am back and today we are talking about a full potential spoiler for the Venom movie. Now, as always when we talk about these, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, but always remember, sometimes these do pan out to be 100% correct. There's been multiple times I've done these, and just like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the entire thing was actually the movie. So you never know if it's fake or not, so just be warned, there could be potential giant spoilers now because this could end up being real. Okay, so let's get into this story. So the movie actually begins with Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock getting out of prison. He gets early parole, and he goes and visits his ex-wife. She has actually moved on, and his daughter doesn't even recognize who he is anymore. At this point, Hardy's character has nowhere to turn, so he actually just decides, hey, I'm gonna go out drinking, so he ends up in the woods by the end of the night and ends up passing out. Space debris, which is somehow going to be, I guess, like a meteor shower in this, actually falls down into the woods. That's very much close to him, and from the wreckage is where this alien symbiote comes out and finds Tom Hardy in the woods. It essentially just grafts onto him right then and there. This is when the government actually comes in to start to investigate this debris that fell down. Another symbiote actually starts attacking the actual workers there, and that one is kind of taken care of, but a third one is actually captured for government study. Tom Hardy actually tries to escape the woods without being seen, but he's actually ends up being captured by the government. Over at the next scene, this is kind of like the MRI thing. They start doing tests on him. They start trying to figure out what's happening, trying to isolate him from the actual suit by slicing deep into him. And this is at this point, the symbiote is pissed, and so is an Eddie Brock, so everything's kind of giving into anger. Tom Hardy actually then ends up escaping the facility, and there's a big old car chase and everything. He ends up getting a bike. Essentially, this is going to be a lot of those scenes that we've seen before. He tries to really do anything he can to get out of here, but there's really no escape. The car chase, we're actually going to see the symbiote is protecting him and forms like a giant shield around him, so that's kind of how it's like beginning to take that more Venom shape that we're kind of aware of. Essentially at this point, the third symbiote that they've had is still being sort of experimented on, and it's actually going to attach itself back on to one of the scientists, the main bad dude who's in this movie. Tom Hardy as a character, Eddie Brock, has actually decided to go back to the laboratory to try to destroy everything because he's found out that this thing could pretty much like ruin Earth if it really comes down to it. He ends up going toe-to-toe with the government symbiote guy, and his wife and daughter actually end up escaping because he captured them as collateral, so he could draw Venom out. As they're leaving, he thinks he's the only one with the symbiote, and more or less right now he thinks he's scotch-free, but as it turns out, the scientist that died from the beginning of the movie still has the symbiote attached to him, and he ends up kind of coming back from the dead due to the power of the symbiote. And apparently there is an alternate cut of this where at the end Eddie Brock is once again captured and put in prison, but they don't know that he still has the symbiote. So yeah, honestly, this is rather interesting because I think you could gather a lot of this stuff and just make up the story from the trailer, but on the other end, we don't really know how they're gonna handle this in full, right? And this guy that says he's seen like a rougher cut of the movie and kind of what they're going for, what the general idea is, and that the Venom symbiote's only going to appear in the movie for a few minutes, if that, in like its full form. The rest of it, you're going to see like pieces of it and kind of it like bonding to him in different ways, being like a part of a suit that's underneath what he's wearing. So I guess we're going to find out sooner rather than later, but if what I just read is the full movie, yeah, I don't know about that.